What is up, everybody? Hello, hello. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the show. It's the next show will be better. The Hickson Diaries podcast, live stream podcast, however you want to put it, where we talk about my life in the UK is an American, along with anything else that you guys pretty much can think of. Tonight we're going to learn a little bit more about Burns Night because that was a holiday in Scotland this past weekend. I know we've talked about it a little bit before, but I definitely don't have a good handle on it. So we're going to review a little documentary on that later on. And of course, as always, we're going to answer all of your burning questions about culture shocks, living abroad, what's going on in America, and anything else the chatters can come up with. So make sure that you send in your questions, comments, queries, concerns, and super chats along the way so that, we can answer them as we go. But first, if you would please, if you don't mind, could you please like and share the stream if you haven't already so people know that we're live. YouTube changed their algorithm recently, and I have been getting a lot of notifications that people aren't getting their notifications. And there is a limit as well to how many notifications the channel can send out. They can only send out a little bit at a time. I think it's like 5 or 10. So if you don't make that cut, and I don't know how it's determined either, it's all a YouTube management thing, but apparently a lot of people aren't getting notified that we're live. So if you could help out by sharing the stream and letting people know, that would be awesome because, the more the merrier, right? That would be great. Thanks. Also, if you do get a chance, be sure to go and visit us at hicksondiaries.com because, it's awesome. And if I do say so myself, we've dropped a few things this week. We have some fun interactive quizzes, some quick reads about being an American in the UK or being a Brit abroad being a Brit in the US. And also, if you are an American watching us and you're thinking about moving, I put together a little checklist guidebook to help you out with everything that I think you'll need to know based on me doing it, and then some stuff I wish I knew ahead of time. All absolutely free. So after the stream ends, of course, go check out hicksondiaries.com and see what we got going on there. And while you're there, if you don't mind, if you can find something you like, we have 15% off store-wide. The January sales are still on until, of course, the end of this week. So don't miss your chance to get 15% off any merch that you have been waiting to buy when it goes on sale. I get it. Budgets are important. Yeah, and you can get all kinds of cool stuff. I'm just saying, But last but certainly not least, I have to start off the show by wishing a belated birthday to our beloved Manny. It was his birthday yesterday. We all need to acknowledge because he's pretty much half running this team. He basically runs the show with Disco for me. So shout out to Manny. Happy birthday. I hope you had a great day yesterday. And I hope you're enjoying the next year of your life. And I'm just going to leave it at that. Wishing you all the best. And thank you for everything that you do for us. So much appreciated. All right. It is time. Let's kick the tires and light the fires. Let's check in with the chat and see who's here. Because, the show only gets better when you're there. I know we have Manny here because Gold Star, first one here in the pre-chat. I have to figure out, do we want to name the pre-chat? I don't know. I get a little crazy with names, so maybe not. Okay, we have Roy Cousins who's here. Lovely. Thank you so much for being here. Neil Morrison, also here. Thank you for being here as well. Thank both of you and Manny for being members as well. Appreciate that. Blah, blah, blah. I know Diane is here as well. I remember saying hello to her. And also, I believe that we have Mick MacArthur here as well. We have Richard here, Richard Wilmot. Thank you all so much for being here. Did you see what I wrote on your living paycheck to paycheck? Was that on the Own Your Work channel? Because I have not seen it yet. I did see that I had a notification, but I haven't had a chance to check it. But thank you for commenting and for watching that channel. I appreciate it. I will check it out and respond to you, Richard. Sending good vibes out Neil Marsden's way, because he's having there's some health problems going on out there in his private life. So shout out and wishing all good vibes and speedy recoveries and all of that to you and yours, Neil. Mick is here from Glasgow. Mick, how are you doing? Are you all right? How is everybody doing? Because it's been a little bit crazy the past couple days. Richard did Burns night with proper haggis. Oof. Yeah, you tell us some of your stories. Carly Jane is here. Hello, Carly. It's so nice to have you here. Thank you for joining us. I love it when new people join. I'm pretty sure this is your first stream with us. I recognize your name though, so I definitely know you've been around the channel, but I think this is your first stream. Hi, Disco! Yay! The second half is here. Woo! Couldn't do it without these guys. Marja's here. Hello. Thank you for being here, sweetie. So happy to have you all. I have a really dry throat today, you guys. I'm very dried out. My lips are chapped and my skin is really dry and everything. So please bear with me. I don't know. I think it's because we've had the heat on a lot because it's been chilly. But I'm obviously dehydrated and I'm trying my best to stay on it. Richard says his celebration for Burns night is the reason he's so relaxed. Yeah? Oh, did you do anything fun for your birthday, Manny? I had a lovely birthday, thanks. Here's a slice of virtual birthday cake for you all. Aw, just one slice for all of us? Just a little bit of a cheap state there, but okay. Just kidding. Oh, I haven't had an actual birthday cake in forever. I'm trying to think. What kind of cake did you have? Did you have a cake, and what kind? Because I know the birthday cakes are a little bit different here. My favorite birthday cake is ice cream cake. It's delicious. It's diabetic nightmare, but it is delicious. Whew. So just curious, you guys tell me what your favorite birthday cake is in the chat. Richard went up to Scotland to get wild haggis. Yes. Oh, I'm glad you're doing well, Mick. I was thinking about you the other day when I was looking at all the images and stuff. Yeah, we're doing good. Thank you so much for asking, for wishing us well. Sorry, I completely lost my train of thought there for a second. Yes, if you guys are those of you who are members, if you didn't see the short that I put out today, just let me know. But that's exactly why I don't know if this will ever be a pro thing for me, because I don't think I got it for production side of it anyway. A whole fairy cake will do. Well, I have to check. What is a fairy cake? Okay, so it's a cupcake with the frosting kind of draped on it. That is interesting. I've done fairy cakes. I've actually made fairy cakes with the wings. Let me show you. I've made these types of fairy cakes. I made them in America because my daughter asked me to at one point. I made those, but so you're talking about those with the wings, or are you talking about something like this? Just curious. I mean, we just call them cupcakes in America. This type of thing. Only the frosting is different. The frosting is a little bit more like that, but usually there's an overload of frosting for American cupcake. It's much more like that. What the hell? Can't even look at the picture, huh? Much more like that. But even hot, like I've seen cupcakes. Let me see if I can find a picture of American. Yeah, there we go. Look at how much is on that sucker. Look at how much frosting is on that, man. So crazy. There's actually 2 layers. So what they do is they put like a dollop in the middle so it gets the height, and then they do the frosting like around it so it gets that cone shape. So hot. Look at this. So much frosting. It's ridiculous. But I would much rather have a fairy cake with the wings. That would be what I would angel cakes, is that what they're called? I would much rather have one of those. Calling the caterpillar cakes. Oh, disco. Do you still have Colin the Caterpillar cakes? We haven't had one yet, honestly. Should I have one for my birthday? Should I have one of these for my birthday this year? I've not had one, so that'll be interesting. Yeah, you don't want ice cream cake if you're a diabetic, because it's not just ice cream cake, Diane. It's 2 layers of ice cream. So it's like usually it's like chocolate on the top, vanilla on the bottom. It's got this like Oreo cookie type crumble in the middle, which is also sweet. Then it's got icing over top with all of the writing and the roses and everything on top. It is insanely sugary because, America. Yeah, that's a good one. Hold on, let me show you. So look at that. I mean, that is insane amount of sugar. Ah, hold up, sorry. You got to see it. That is like an ice cream cake. It is delicious if you can take all the sugar. You don't even need a big piece. You just need like a really small piece like that. But yeah. My partner's favorite is the Victoria sponge, which I have made for him in America with his grandfather's recipe, actually. Wild haggis hunting season is closed for the year. Would they close it on Burns Night? I didn't do much. Manny says I didn't do much yesterday because I'm saving up for my celebrations of my 50th in 2028. I had some cherry bakewell slices. Oh, well, that's still good. What are you going to do for your 50th? You're planning it already? Wow. You really do plan ahead. Richard says, I remember my 50th, my friends and I caused havoc in London. That sounds like fun. Just a sponge cake for Marja. I got you. The sponge cake one, yeah. Mick MacArthur says, I had Burns night supper last night because it fell on Sunday. I had Hunter's chicken with sliced haggis. It was delicious. Ooh, I like Hunter's chicken. It's good. Haggis is good too. I haven't had it. I only had it one time, but I did like it. Sounds delicious. Neil said Victoria sponge for his birthday too. He also goes on to say, when I was a kid, my mom used to make decorated cake like my main present. For example, racing car when I got scale tricks. Scale tricks? I don't know what that is either. But I hear what you're saying. We used to do theme parties for our daughter when she was little. And that was her part of her birthday present. Like she didn't get an actual present from us. I made a cake, like whatever cake she asked that was with the theme. And then we had the theme party or whatever. And that was her present. And she knew that and she was cool with it because she got presents from other people. So, but she always wanted a theme birthday parties for a while. And then the last one I think we did was like a sleepover because she was at that age, which I was kind of sad about. But everyone have some more virtual treats on me. There's cupcakes, donuts, cookies, and more slices of Victoria sponge. Thanks for that, Manny. What are iced fancies, Roy? Kipling's. Iced fancies are small bite-sized British cakes traditionally featuring a Genoese sponge base, a layer of buttercream, and fruit preserve covered in fondant. Gotcha. Anything covered in fondant is going to be sweet. Fondant is sweet. Does anyone remember when cupcakes were called buns, or are buns just a sponge without icing? You called your cupcakes buns? Really? Never heard that before. Manny says Arctic roll. A classic British frozen dessert consisting of vanilla ice cream wrapped in a thin layer of sponge cake, typically with a layer of raspberry jam. Yeah, that sounds like it'll be good. Yeah. Yeah, that looks good. All fairness, that looks good. I'll have a rock cake. What's a rock cake? You guys are coming up with all this strange stuff I never heard of. Is that like a cookie? It looks like a cookie. Oh, damn. I clicked on the wrong thing. Sorry. Rock cake, also called rock bun, is a small cake with a rough surface resembling a rock. Promoted by the British Ministry of Food during the Second World War, since they require fewer eggs and less sugar than ordinary cakes. Important savings in a time of strict rationing, I would think. I don't know. They kind of look like chocolate chip cookies to me. Hmm. Or maybe, you know what? They also look like the top of a muffin. Did I show them to you? They look like the top of a muffin, to be honest. Closer to a scone, maybe. In my humble opinion. The What's for Tea channel is going to do a black pudding, haggis, and sausage meat sausage roll. I mean, I'm doing that about the sausage roll, not the black pudding, obviously. Sara Lee double chocolate gâteau. Wow. Dang. Let me show you all this. That is rich. That looks very, very rich. Wow. Manny don't hold back, man. Homemade trifle with lots of sherry. Does it have beef sauteed with peas and onions in it? Do you put sherry in that? Really? Oh, I never knew that. Diane says, in all seriousness, the ice cream cake looks delicious, but I'm not a big cake or biscuit fan. But that's the beauty of it, Diane, is it's not really cake. It's really ice cream in the shape of a cake. It's like frozen. It's like an ice cream sundae because ice cream is frozen. It's like an ice cream sundae, but everything on it is like chilled and hardened. So it's like a frozen ice cream sundae. It's delicious. Lemon cheesecake. I'm not a fan of cheesecake, Marjo, to be honest, but I am a fan of lemon. So like lemon meringue pie or something like that. Lemon cakes, like that. Tea or coffee with it? Usually in America anyway, we usually like the adults will have coffee and the kids will have like juice or milk or water. Thank you so much for the generous super chat, Disco. I appreciate it. Okay. Mick says, I have up Heli AA on BBC YouTube channel on TV, a football phone in my laptop, and Mandy on my phone. I don't understand how I'm genuinely not somebody who can multitask that well, except for things like I can cook and wash some dishes while my eggs are cooking, kind of thing. But I'm not somebody that can sit and have like 3 things on. I can't concentrate. I'm very especially when I'm like trying to concentrate, I can't have lots around me, noise or anything. It's really distracting, which is why I needed like my own space. When we were in the flat still, I was literally like be in bed, like editing and stuff because I needed silence. Someone was posting about Twinkies. You know, when we were in the grocery store this weekend, I saw they were like Dreamies or something like that, but they were Twinkies basically. And I was like, they're horrible. Twinkies are horrible. They're so sweet. I don't know if they're as sweet here because obviously the sugar regulations are different, but I mean, I was just like, why would anyone want that? Because it's not good. I thought cupcakes were also known as muffins. Would I be right in thinking that? Manny asks. You are wrong. They are similar in the fact that they both have the same like paper cup or foil cup that they're baked in. And they use the same tins. So muffin tin or cupcake tin, they're the same thing. But cupcakes are sweet. They have savory cupcakes as well. Muffins tend to be a little bit denser and tend to be muffins you would normally have for breakfast or a snack, whereas cupcakes, because they're sweeter, you'd have it as a dessert. Marcia says iced currant buns were when I was a kid, delicious and simple and cheap. What the hell? We don't really have currants in America. I mean, I'm sure we have them, but Belgian bun Is that like a Belgian bun? Because I have seen those. But I think this is, yeah, this looks different. That's a Belgian bun. I've seen those before, and I don't like those. We don't really have currant in America, so I'm not sure if I like it. I've had currant, like the currant drink, the juice, squash or whatever, and it's okay, but it's not anything I would write home about, and I don't really like the juice concentrate thing anyway. But that looks good, to be honest, Marcia. Dan Tillotson is here. I hope I said that right. My apologies, Dan. Thank you so much for being here. I think this is your first live stream as well. Says, I regularly watch your videos, but I just noticed you're live, so I thought I'd log in. Thank you. I appreciate that. I hope you enjoy it. Yeah, we're live every Tuesday at 8 o'clock UK time. So anytime you can join us, it'd be great. Thank you. Thank you for participating in our video and our show. And welcome. Disco said, I hadn't made rock cakes for years and had another go last year, and they were too much like rocks. Oh, yeah, that's not good. It's flavored with saffron, proper rock cakes. Really? Marcia says, my sister obviously baked the rock cakes differently. How? How are they different, Marcia? Mick says, my wife used to make rock cakes. They weren't supposed to be rock cakes, but they all turned out to be rock cakes. Yeah, I've had several of those in my time. Rock cakes are a dentist dream. Richard says, when my mother was annoyed at us being idle, would say we were like a hairy fairy on a rock cake. It needs custard or something. You guys put custard on a lot of your like cakes and stuff. That is a thing here. It's not really a thing in America. I don't really like your custard either, to be honest. Upheli is a celebration in Shetland which culminates in the burning of a Viking longship. You mentioned that did you mention that last week? I think you did. I just forgot it. I wonder if something popped up on my feed with people like walking through the streets with torches, kind of like bonfire night, and I think I just blew it off, like that's what it was. But maybe it was what you're talking about. Square sausages? What are square sausages? Square sausage, also known as Lorne sausage, is a traditional Scottish food made from minced meat, usually beef or beef-pork mix. Rusk. What's rusk? Spices formed into a block and then sliced. Okay, it looks a little bit like meatloaf. Definitely looks a little bit like meatloaf or Spam. What is rusk, though? Richard said, I can read 3 books at once, as could my siblings, and it would annoy my mom. Wow. That's insane. Could you like comprehend them and everything? Because I would get so confused with the stories and stuff. I wish I was able to do more stuff like that, but it just doesn't like penetrate. Manny says, is it me or does anyone not like custard donuts or custard tarts? I find them so sickly and tried them again, but not again. I can't stand custard in those things. Haven't had either of them, so... Oh, cool. Thanks, Dan. Yeah, I finally got one right. I usually mess them up. I usually butcher names, especially the new people I don't know that well. So... Yeah, I bet she did, Disco. Apple donuts, not really a fan. Do they have apple donuts here in the UK? I've never seen them. I don't know about that sausage thing. I just said my cherry was taken a long time ago. I make cake in my bread maker. How's that work out? Does that work out well? Never made a cake in a bread maker before. Mandy says, I made asteroid cakes once, which I don't know what they are, but I'll look up in a second. I accidentally left them in the oven a bit too long, and they were black and hard as well as charred. To think about how I was supposed to spell it. That's a galaxy cake. What's asteroid cake? What's asteroid cake? It's not telling me. I need more deets. Like an actual asteroid cake? Like, is that what you mean? Y'all are probably making fun of me. But you guys have, like... You're probably making fun of me, aren't you? Dan says, for me, custard was more of a school thing along with Seminole pudding. I've seen pictures of that, and it's so gross on how you ice and eat that stuff. I know you really didn't have a choice. I'm just saying. Oof. Yeah, it is. I agree. Thank you very much, Marja. Very weird and not satisfactory at all. It's not appetizing at all, visually or through any other sense. Jan says, I was odd. Most of my school friends hated school dinners, but I rather liked them, including the semolina. I think I called it salmonella. 6-7. God, I can't believe you all could read 3 books at once. It's so crazy. Disco says, at school, I used to love chocolate sponge with chocolate custard. Lots of chocolate. Margie says an asteroid cake is a rock cake that went right. It's not unlike rice pudding. Yeah, Dan, you're right. It's not. And I don't like rice pudding either. My daughter was having this Japanese breakfast the other day, which is like rice with milk and something else. I can't remember what it is. And I was like, what are you eating that for? But she loved it. Manny says, yeah, I assumed you were talking about another specific kind of cake that I didn't know, but no, you were just talking about the fact that they came out of the oven rock hard and charred. Got it. Oh, you know what? I was gonna actually open the show with some commentary about some things happening in the US, but we're all in a good mood and we're having fun, so I'm gonna just leave it now. And that's not important. We're gonna go right into the Burns night thing if you guys are ready. There we go. Clicking on the wrong stuff. Do. All right. So this is Robert Burns' documentary from Arthur. I swear I can read. This is Robert Burns' documentary from Author Documentaries. The Author Documentaries YouTube channel. Okay, I'm going to change this up a little bit actually because I like it better this way, but I think it's easier to see and find, like, watch this way. So we're going to do it this way. You guys let me know if that works better than how I usually do the TV, like the TV anchor type thing. All right, y'all, let's see what's up.
To a mouse. Wee sleekit, cowrin timorous beastie. Oh, what a panic's in thy priestie. Thou needna start a wassie hasty wi' bickering brattle. I would be laith to run and chase thee wi' murdering pattle. I'm truly sorry man's dominion has broken nature's social union, and justifies that ill opinion which makes thee startle at me, thy poor earth-born companion and fellow mortal. I doubt na whiles but thou may thieve. What then? Poor beastie, thou mun live. A dame and acre na thraves a small request. I'll get a blessing with a lave and never missed.
Okay, I have to ask, is this just like poetry language, or is this like an original Scottish language, or is it a combo? Because I'd have to say that I would definitely need the subtitles if the words weren't already on there. Okay.
Thy wee bit housie too, in ruin, its silly was the winds are strewing, and naething now to big a newin o' foggage green, and bleak December's winds ensuing, baith snell and keen. Thou saw the fields laid bare and waste, and weary winter coming fast, and cosy here beneath the blast thou thought to dwell, till crash, the cruel cooter passed out through thy cell. That wee bit heap o' leaves and stibble has cost thee mony a weary nibble. Now thou's turned out for a' thy trouble, but house or hald, to thole the winter's sleety dribble, and cranrich cauld. But mousie, thou art no thy lane.
I'm not sure I understand this poem. I get that it's about a mouse.
In proving foresight may be vain. The best laid schemes o' mice and men gang after gley, and lay us naught but grief and pain for promised joy. Still thou art blessed compared wi' me, the present only toucheth thee. But och, I backward cast my ee on prospects drear, and forward, though I canna see, I guess and fear. Such poetry as that, clear, sympathetic, and touching on the heart of the human.
All right, he said clear. I beg to differ twice.
Condition is what has made Robert Burns perhaps the most popular poet of all time. His poems are translated into every language. There are more statues to Burns than there were to Lenin in his heyday. Auld Lang Syne was a Burns rewrite of an old folk song. It has become a part of world folk lore. The Japanese no doubt think it is a Japanese folk song.
No crap. He wrote this? I had no idea it was him.
New Year parties the world over are incomplete without it. Its sentiment is universal, and it was phrased by a poet perceived by most to be one of the people, the majority, the masses. Robert Burns was born in this little cottage in the town of Alloway, on the west coast of Scotland, on January 25th, 1759. The cottage was built by his father, William Burns, at the time working as a gardener to a local doctor. They were poor, but the father was intelligent and capable, and he wanted his children to be educated. The mother, Agnes, this is reputed to be a drawing of her in later life, was illiterate, but lively and possessed of a good singing voice. She ensured that her eldest son Robert heard all the folk songs of his native land from birth, a grounding which importantly shaped his future. In 1765, when Burns was 6, he began lessons with an 18-year-old teacher called Murdoch, engaged by William Burns and a group of friends to teach their children.
Isn't it funny? I know this is completely like off topic, but I always think about stuff like this because I love history, but I always compare it to modern day, right? That teacher is 18 years old and has the very heavy responsibility of teaching all of these children, right? Here, 18-year-olds aren't even like, they're just adults. Like, they're just going into adulthood. I don't know that I would be like most 18-year-olds, I shouldn't say all, but most 18-year-olds that I know, I don't know that I would even trust them babysitting kids like that, let alone teaching them, like being responsible for their education and knowledge. I'm just saying.
Burns was 6. He began lessons with an 18-year-old teacher called Murdoch, engaged by William Burns and a group of friends to teach their children. With Murdoch, Burns early learned to read and write standard English, markedly different from the local Scots dialect. This initial bout of schooling lasted about 2.5 years, and Burns' intelligence and character was such that he devoured books of all sorts from that time on, while at the same time absorbing the character and feeling of the people and the countryside about him. William Burns decided he must have independence and rented the farm of Mount Oliphant, some miles to the southeast of Alloway. It was 1765. William Burns was able...
Wait, he rented the farm? Like the entire farm? Could you do that back then? I suppose people would need the money. That seems crazy to think of. But I guess it was normal?
But his rent was high, and the land poor, and the venture largely failed. The reasons for his failures are not hard to see. There was much talk at the time of new farming techniques and joining small farms into ever larger units. It meant rents rising faster than the improvements came, and people like William Burns and his family suffered terribly. One poor crop and they were finished. At Mount Oliphant, they all worked hard and had little leisure or company. Robert's younger brother recorded that their father was their only company, and he did his best to educate them by talking at length about everything he knew in an attempt to broaden their views and inculcate an honest morality. By 15, Robert was the main labor on the farm, as his father was ailing. Poor nourishment and overwork strained his heart, and from this time he suffered constant ill health. Planting and threshing corn is an unlikely background for a poet. It ought to have produced in him an unrelieved, down-in-the-mouth gloom. It did not. Somehow he rose above it all.
I know he said that it's not like the best start for a poet, but I kind of think I've always been of the opinion that some of the greatest artists in the world had the most extreme hardships. I think that it actually builds a lot of character if you can pull through that kind of stuff. I think it builds character and it shapes you in a different kind of way. And I think it does kind of make you soft, because I think it makes you softer more so than it would make you harder, because this is getting into a weird area, but because it kind of develops an empathetic plight for anyone that's going through hardship, because you remember what it's like. That has been my take anyway. Let me know what you guys think, though.
When he was 16, Robert had a break. He was sent to a school in Kirkoswald to learn surveying and numeration, at which he progressed. City life at 16 also meant he learned a lot more about the ways of men and, of course, women. He fell to the charms of one Peggy Thompson, who lived next.
It says Rob's in the hay. Oh my god, my grandfather used to say that expression. Oh, that's hilarious. I haven't heard it in forever.
Door to the school. He returned home, he felt much improved. Scotland and her Calvinistic Protestant religion has always frowned on matters like dancing, poetry, the theatre, and the like as being dangerous, immoral, and usually downright bad. Sex, of course, was quite unmentionable and somehow connected with sin of the highest order. This sort of attitude doesn't stop it happening, of course, but it is often accompanied by feelings of guilt, and consequently a great deal of joy is lost. Robert Burns mercifully seems to have been little troubled by these attitudes and enjoyed his sexual encounters to the full. Much of his poetry includes ribald and comic sexual imagery. Of course, he was fully aware of society's views on sexual activity and let off steam about it in his verse. In 1777, the family moved to a new farm at Lochley, a few miles to the north of Ayr, the county town. Lochley was a good time for the family. Farming went well, and at nearby Tarbolton, Burns founded the Tarbolton Bachelors' Club, a debating society of Burns' friends, meeting once a month to debate the social questions of the day. Burns read all he could and lived as hard as he could. He led the Tarbolton Bachelors in riotous laughter, wrote poetry, and fell in love again, this time with a servant girl at a nearby farm. Of course, his love affairs usually occasioned love poems, which is how we know about them. He also tried to develop the farm by growing flax, and went to Irving, the seaport to Ayr, to learn how to dress flax. At this point, his girl had turned him down, and his father was ill and involved in a lawsuit, so it was hardly a propitious moment. He somehow found time to write. He read the poems of Robert Fergusson, an 18th century Scots poet, who used the Scots language, and Robert was stirred into developing his own. The flax idea came to a dead end when his partner's shop burnt to the ground and he returned to Lochley. His father was ill, soon bankrupted by his bills, and by February 1784, dead. Robert was now head of the family. They moved to Moss Giel Farm in March of that year, and Robert and his brother Gilbert determined to make it a success. But Moss Giel was not good land, and such as it was, the farming methods of the past had ruined it. They turned every way, but their efforts got them nowhere. Even today, 200 years later, Mosgiel is still bare, windswept, and uninviting.
They couldn't catch a break, could they? Are all of you grabbing a scotch? I should have put some wild turkey in my iced tea. I didn't think of it. Do you guys all have some kind of scotch or whiskey? Thank you so much for the super chat, Manny. I'm so intrigued. Like, I'm so invested in this. I don't know why I didn't really have any expectation of it. He's had a roller coaster of a life, hasn't he? Jeez.
Gilbert notes that Robert's financial affairs were scrupulously ordered, but this was not the case when it came to women. A farm servant bore him a child in 1785. There wasn't much else in the way of fun to be had on a remote farm, so even if fornication was a much denounced sin in the Kirk, Robert's sexual behaviour was not out of the ordinary. On a wag in Mochlin. Lament him Mochlin husbands are, he often did assist you, for had ye stayed hale weeks awa, your wives they ne'er had missed ye. You Mochlin bairns, as on ye pass to school in bands together, oh, tread ye lightly on his grass, perhaps he was your father.
What? Whoa!
In 1780.
Wow! All right, fair point. He did get around. Power to him.
1983, Burns began a commonplace book in which he wrote poems and his ideas about life and literature. But soon he was writing poetry in it, steadily and fruitfully and astonishingly, given the incredible hardship of his life. He was firmly on his way to becoming a major poet.
I don't like the narrative that he had, like, he did all of this despite his hardship. Like, if this is his natural talent, which obviously it was because he was so good at it and so successful, it would have been his natural outcome anyway, I feel like. Anyway, sorry.
He was also firmly involved with Jean Armour, daughter of a mason in Mochlin. She bore him twins in September 1886, and Burns gave her a paper avowing their marriage, which in Scots law was equal to a legal marriage. Jean's father would have none of it, forced Jean to give up the paper, and tore it up.
So back then in Scotland, all you had to do was write on the piece of paper, hey, I married her and we're good. Could you imagine if that was the law now? There would be so many crazy marriages and divorces and stuff. Oh my God. Chaos, man.
Robert and Jean appeared 3 times in church to do penance for fornication outside marriage, and at the end of this he was free and declared a bachelor again. Jean's father then attempted to have him jailed for not paying for child upkeep. It was all too much, and Burns decided to emigrate to Jamaica. He booked a passage twice, and twice didn't sail. But something else was keeping him. In April 1786, he had arranged with a printer in nearby Kilmarnock to print a first collection of his poems. He had been writing prolifically in 1785 and early 86, and he was pleased with his work. He was 27, and it was time to publish. Poems, chiefly in the Scottish dialect by Robert Burns, appeared on 31st July 1786, and almost at once it was a success, and Burns' life was changed forever.
I bet that father is kicking himself at this point, right? Like, that, the nerve of the father as well. Like, he tore up the freaking paper And then just people are dumb. Sorry.
Copy got to Edinburgh, and critical approval found its way back to Burns. He made £50 from all this, and this first edition today is priceless. He decided to go to Edinburgh to meet the people who were enjoying his poems and to seek a position as an exciseman or tax collector, which would give him a steady income and a more secure position than that of farmer. The literati of Edinburgh came out to meet him, notably Henry Mackenzie, who described Burns as a heaven-taught ploughman and a genius of no ordinary rank.
Wow.
The Earl of Glencairn, who had associations with Kilmarnock, befriended him from the start. Burns respected and admired him because he treated Burns as an equal. Glencairn's support was unequivocal and unfailing. We learn from Burns' correspondence with a Mrs. Dunlop of Dunlop much of Burns' feelings at this time. She had written to him after reading his poems, and they became firm friends. Back home, he had a close friend in Gavin Hamilton, his landlord at Mossgiel, and he wrote to Hamilton of his Edinburgh triumphs, laughing at himself. I am in a fair way of becoming as eminent as Thomas à Kempis or John Bunyan. My Lord Glencairn and the Dean of the Faculty, Mr. H. Erskine, have taken me under their wing, and by all probability I shall soon be the 10th worthy and the 8th wise man of the world. He suspected they might tire of him, so he made what advantages he could, pushing his cause for an appointment as an exciseman. He also spent some of his money travelling avidly, adding to his knowledge of Scotland, its history, and of course the poetry and song. He stayed with the Duchess of Gordon, and high society, it must be said, did well by him. But he was scornful of those he considered his intellectual inferiors and who attempted to patronize him. He knew his worth. He met and fell in love with a Mrs. Agnes Maclehouse, separated from her dissolute husband and living modestly in a flat in Edinburgh. However, seducing servant girls and getting Jean Armour pregnant was a different matter from an approach to Mrs. Maclehouse. Burns enjoyed her intelligence and wit, but when she discovered that while he was wooing her, there were the servant girls, the babies, and Jean, it was all over.
Ooh, drama.
Burns had to settle for Jean without the intellectual companionship he craved.
Oh my God, that was so bad. He had to settle for her. Ouch.
She made him a good wife, however, and they settled at Ellisland Farm near Dumfries, while he began work as an exciseman. Ellisland proved a disaster as a farm, but the excise work, although it required riding about the countryside in all weathers, gave him status and security. In Edinburgh, a second collection of his poems was printed, and from this he made about £800, a tidy sum at the time. It was all he earned from poetry, although he continued to write. In 1793, a second Edinburgh edition of poems was printed, which included the narrative poem Tam O'Shanter, which has tremendous dramatic verve and suggests where his talents might have led him.
Now, of course, all of this is pretty new to me. So this a lot of these poems and stuff, is this stuff that you guys know? Like, is this, am I just way behind? Which is possible because, you know, of my situation. But I'm just curious, are these all like well-known works by you guys? Because I know most of you are very, very much aware of who Robert Burns was and all.
However, from 1787, Burns became involved in something very close to his heart, the production of a collection of songs called the Scots Musical Museum. Burns collected, rewrote, and wrote anew most of the songs in this collection, and in another collection, select Scottish airs. He loved the work, was paid nothing for it, and although he may have written less poetry because of it, it ranks as a major element in Burns' output.
John Anderson, my George, on when we were first acquaint, your locks were like the raven, your bonny brow was brent, but now your brow is bent, John, your locks are like the snow, but blessings on your frosty brow. John Anderson, my Joe.
Okay, I'm going to attempt to interpret this. So obviously John Anderson is the name. My Joe meaning, I assume, like my friend. When they first met, he had long locks, like long hair that was dark. I don't know what Brent means when you say your bonny brow. But now your brow is bald, meaning he's bald and he's lost all his hair, and anything that he has left is white, basically. Is that what he's saying? Is that what this song means? I'm gonna go with it, guys. I'm gonna go with it. I think that's it. I think that's it.
Blessings on your frosty brow, John Anderson, my Joe. John Anderson, my George, on we climb the hill together, and many a canty day, John, we've had we in another. Now we mun taught a John, and hand in hand we'll go, and sleep together at the foot, John Anderson, my Joe.
I don't get most of this, except it seems like maybe they're gay. I could just be complete. John could be a woman, or I don't know. This one threw me off.
Burns' life became more complex and harrowing as he grew older. He moved to live in this house in Dumfries. Apart from the children Jean bore him, he fathered others. Jean even took them in.
Well,
desperate for intellectual equals, he continued to mix with and charm people of the upper social classes, as the only ones with education and developed tastes. Maria Riddle was one, 10 years younger, extremely intelligent, well able to take Burns' measure. They were obviously attracted to each other, but at a bawdy drinking party at her house, he offended even Maria. Fortunately, she forgave him. It's obvious that a man of Burns' background, character, intellect, and degree of pride could never have an easy life. But his last years were plagued with a heart disease which had its roots in his overworked adolescence, and it eventually killed him at the age of 37. His letters and poetry reflect tremendous wit and intelligence, a remarkable range of interests from nature to politics, and an understanding of life quite exceptional in any age. In his personal life, he had a tremendous struggle between a sensitive understanding of human relationships and the responsibilities that go with them, and a ploughman's concupiscence, and the need to cock a snook at conventional morality and its obvious hypocrisy. Sadly, this meant a path littered with one-night seductions and pregnancies in the days when birth control meant nothing.
He was, wow. He was a slut. He's the original baby daddy. Gotten kids everywhere, man. Jeez.
Burns even went so far as to defend this behavior in poems, and a notorious letter where he is shamefully cruel about his unintellectual wife-to-be, Jean Armour. One moment he is the great gallant, writing the most wonderful poetry about women, and the next he is the great macho man, bedding them and passing on without a backward glance. He was a great man for family values, yet could easily put his own under violent distress. It was a hole out of which he never climbed. Welcome to a bastard wean. Thou's welcome, wean. Miss Hunter for me, if thoughts o' thee or yet thy mammy shall ever daunten me or awe me, my sweet wee lady, or if I blush when thou shalt call me Tita or Daddy. What though they call me fornicator, and tease my name in kintra clatter? The mair they talk, I'm kenned the better. E'en let them clash. An auld wife's tongue's a feckless matter to gie in fash. Welcome, my bonny, sweet wee dochter. Though ye come here a wee unsought for, and though your coming I hae fought for baith kirk and queer, yet, by my faith, you're no unwrought for, that I shall swear. Sweet fruit o' mony a merry dint, my funny toil is no tint. Though thou come to the wireless glent, which fools may scoff at, in my last plack they parts beint the better half o't. Though I should be the war bestead, thou's be as braw and binely clad, and thy young years as nicely bred wi' education as ony brat o' wedlock's bed in a' thy station. Wee image o' my bonny Betty, as fatherly I kiss and dot thee, as dear and near my heart I set thee, wi' as ged well as a' the priests had seen me get thee that's out o' hell. God grant that thou may I inherit thy mother's looks and grace for merit, and thy poor worthless daddy's spirit without his failings. 'Twill please me mair to see thee heir it than stock it millions. And if thou be what I would hae thee, and tak the counsel I shall gie thee, I'll never rue my trouble wi' thee, the cost nor shame o't, but be a loving father to thee, and brag the name o't. It is a nonsense to make a socialist idol of Burns, as many have tried to do. He did not disdain his origins, but he wanted to be valued on his merits, just as he judged others. Lines on meeting with Lord Dare. This watch ye all whom it concerns. I, Rhymer Rab, alias Burns, October 23rd, a ne'er to be forgotten day, sae far I sprachled up the brae, I dinnered wi' a lord. I've been at druchen writers' feasts, nay, been bitch fu' mang godly priests wi' reverence be it spoken. I've even joined the honoured jorum when mighty squireships o' the quorum their hydra druth did slochen. But wi' a lord, stand out my shin, a lord, a peer, an earl's son, a pyre yet my bonnet, and sic a lord, lang Scotch twa, our peerage he looks o'er the ma, as I look o'er my sonnet. But oh, for Hogarth's magic power, to show Sir Barley's Williard glower, and how he stared and stammered, when Govins he'd been led wi' branks, and stumping on his ploughman shanks, he in the parlour hammered. To meet good Stuart little pain is, or Scotia sacred Demosthenes. Thinks I, they are but men. But Burns, my lord, good God, I doited. My knees on in another noited, as faltering I gaed ben. I sidling sheltered in a nook, and at his lordship's store look like some portentous omen. Except good sense and social glee, and, what surprised me, modesty, I marked naught uncommon. I watched the symptoms of the great, the gentle pride, the lordly state, the arrogant assuming. The fiend to our pride, nay pride had he, nor sauce, nor state, that I could see, mair than an honest ploughman. Then from his lordship I shall learn henceforth to meet with unconcern one rank as well as another. Nay, honest worthy man need care to meet with noble youth for dare, for he but meets a brother.
I like that one.
The people amongst whom he lived in his early years had very little understanding of his gifts, and were not much interested in them until he became famous. It was not their fault, but the only way for him was upward into a democracy of merit. The popularity of his works never seems to fade. His best poems are written in the Scots dialect, making it quite difficult for non-Scots to follow, but their honesty, directness,
Totally.
and immediacy shine through. His is the true democratic spirit, and in the simple tenderness of his poetry of love and friendship, we see a truth to which all of us humans in our best moments aspire.
It's so cool when you get to see it in their own hand. Well, that was good. Wow, I had no idea that he was so promiscuous. Kind of admire him a little bit because he didn't care. He was like, I'm just gonna do it. I'm married, I get kids, I don't care. I'm gonna do it anyway. I mean, not the greatest guy, but he was true to himself, and I definitely honor that. Cool guy. Neil Morrison says Bob Dylan thought the Burns song "My Love" is like "Red, Red Rose" and the greatest song written. My dad used to sing it to my mom on her birthday, which was 1st of June. Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that story, Neil. Dan says memories of John Gilgood puppet reciting The Owl and the Pussycat on Spitting Image. Sorry, couldn't resist. I don't know what you're saying. Do I need to look that up? The Owl and... Disco says, bringing back memories of my brother. We would go clubbing, come home at 4 a.m., and he would make custard and tin rice pudding after drinking. I think that would make me throw up. That didn't make you throw up? Oof. Marcia says it's about a clear, misty morning with fogged up spectacles. It's about clear as misty morning with fogged up spectacles. I swear I can read, I promise. Perhaps Burns could be translated into America. That'd be great, Richard. Could you do that for me? Thanks. Neil says there is a good version by Eddie Reader of My Love, like a Red, Red Rose on YouTube. Reader. I gotta find a better way to keep these notes. Marcia says Marcia's had too much rum. She's flagged. Burns was a farmer and he was plowing the field and disturbed a field mouse nest. Oh, is that what it was about? It was really about a mouse? Poetry can sometimes be like metaphoric and symbolic, right? Fair enough. Neil says, thanks for the context, Mick. Neil says John Steinbeck took the title of Mice and Men from a line of To a Mouse. Really? I didn't know that. That's cool. You're right, Marja. It would be interesting to hear like his version. A man's a fur all that. Dan says, with poetry, I don't think you necessarily have to understand the meaning. Just be prepared to submit to the language like music. Yeah, that's fair. I'm normally really good with poetry. I think I was getting hung up on the words because I wasn't familiar with the words. So I think it just threw me. So I was like losing some of the meaning. I have used fell for. I don't know what that means, but that doesn't sound like it would be good coming from what we just watched. Mick said, it said that Robert Burns jabbed 12 children by 4 different women. Dang. 12 children is a lot. Glenlivet, nice. Hi, Robert. Thanks so much for being here. I hope you got some of the documentary that we were watching because it was really good. It was on Robert Burns. You guys talking about all your drink and making me wish I had some drink. Dan said, when I drank, I tended towards the American side of things. What? Although you say Jack Daniels and Jim Beam. It's nice. I'm raising fruit tea. You should have tried Wild Turkey. It's just delicious. Much better than Jack Daniels. Jim Beam's not too bad, though. My Irish grandmother was one of 13. My dad was one of 13 children. Oh, Marcia's dad as well. Look at that. Disco said my dad was one of 16. Wow. It's a lot. Yeah, my dad used to tell me that my grandparents were very poor. So he's like, they had nothing else to do. Okay. I mean, I guess so. Your dad was a twin, Disco? That's kind of cool. Americans go to Vegas for the weekend and get married by Elvis. It's a lot more fun than just writing a note. Richard said his great-grandmother was one of 20. Wow. Mick MacArthur says, if you, in a pub, the server puts into the glass with a measuring cup and then you say, put it in with a shaky hand, please. I'll remember that. One of my ancestors was a poet and a bit of a rogue. Really, Richard? Who was it? Curious. I always wished I could write poetry. I'm not very good at it. I'm pretty good at short stories. That's probably as good as I get. Although I am trying to write a book, but I don't know. I keep getting distracted. Neil says, when the guy said he was a genius of no ordinary rank, remember that time it was the height of Scottish Enlightenment. Okay. He could be one of your ancestors too, meaning mine? I don't have any Scottish blood, I don't think, but judging how he spread his seed, who the hell knows? Mick MacArthur says, my family had 6 children, but in the street next to us, they had families with 11 and another with 12. That's just the way it was then. Yeah. The preventative measure was don't get pregnant. That's all it was. My dad's excuse was his first 5 children were boys. He had to keep trying for his girl. Love it. Hi, Melissa. Hello. Don't worry about being late. We're glad you're here. I hope you're doing well. Yeah, I'm not that familiar with Burns either, Dan, but that's why I wanted to learn a little bit about it. So we have mentioned it and talked about it a little bit here, but I haven't delved into it at all. So I figured it'd be the perfect time for all of us to learn a little bit. Or for those you know to reminisce. Tam O'Shatner has great lines. One of my favorites describes Tam's wife at home nursing he wrath to keep it warm. Jesus. He was quite scandalous for his time, wasn't he? Wow. Richard said, my mother is one of 6, all girls, and grandfather wanted a son. Yeah, you would keep trying, I guess, wouldn't you? I think also in previous generations, especially going back further and further, it was really important to have an heir as well, right? So can AI do it? What, translate it from Scottish to American? That's a good question. Let me see if I can. Yes. Yes, it can. What? Okay, so I'm going to read it. Hold up one sec. This will be fun. Hold on. I don't know if I could share this side by side. If I remove myself, I can, I think. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this up and I'm going to read the American version next to it. Okay. You ready? I don't know if you guys can see this, but I'm going to do my best. Okay. Sorry, I'm just trying to get it to where. To a American English translation. Ha. Okay. Small, sleek, cowering, timid little beast, oh, what a panic is in your little breast. You need not start away so hasty. With rushing scamper, I would be loath to run and chase you with a murdering plow staff. All right. That's definitely not what I didn't get any of that, except for the fact that it's a mouse and it was panicked from this. Wow. Okay. Next stands. I am truly sorry man's dominion has broken nature's social union and justifies that ill opinion, which makes you startle at me, your poor earthborn companion and fellow mortal. Okay, that one I kind of got. Okay, that one wasn't so bad. I doubt not sometimes that you may steal, but what then, poor beast? You must live. An occasional ear of corn in a shock of grain is a small request. I will get a blessing with what is left and never miss it. I did not get that they were talking about corn in this at all. Keeping it real. Is that the last stanza? That's the last one. Yeah. So I kind of got the middle part. Yeah. I might have to go through that entire documentary again and have the AI translator for me. I love that it says translated into American English. Oh, the world we live in is amazing, guys. My Joe is my friend. Okay, that's what I thought. That one I thought. Okay. Burns' poetry was incorporated into the music of the Wicker Man. Nice. Wicker Man. You guys always give me so much good stuff. I can't keep up. He was a man's man. You think, Mick? I mean, they sang the Burns sing A Man's Man at the reopening of the Scottish Parliament. You can find it on YouTube. Well, he's that big, huh? When we were in Scotland, I don't remember like learning anything about Burns. Parcel of the Rogues is about politics. Words and the pen is what they had to express themselves. Honestly, Marja, he had no problem expressing himself without his word or with a different kind of pen. Clearly. Who had to learn poetry at school? I definitely had to learn poetry, but obviously we learned different poetry. My ancestors' poetry is too rude for YouTube. Fair enough, Richard. You can email it to me if you want. I won't read it aloud. I was number 5, and my baby sister was born in 1961. 8 years after me, she stole my baby status from me. Are you still a little bit like fuming about that? It sounds like it. Sounds like you're a little bitter, bro. Holding it against her all this time, huh? Richard said, luckily I was the last of 3, spread over 10 years. I was the oldest, so I got stomped on all the time. Old Scots is difficult language even for us Scots. All right, well, that makes me feel a little bit better. It's hard. It's hard. On Friday night's One Show on BBC One, there is a feature showing how Scots have been declared an official language. Nice. That's fantastic. That's probably a long overdue, to be fair. Well, that was fun, y'all. I enjoyed that very much. I didn't think I wouldn't enjoy it, but I really was surprised. I didn't think he was scandalous. For some reason, I guess because he's so revered, I thought he was a little bit more of a, I guess, of the like higher social class or something. But he's Scottish, not British. He's Scottish, not English, so that's probably what should have tipped me off. I can just about follow Scots, but not Doric. What's Doric? Golly. Doric. Wow. That'll be a whole nother conversation, I think. Whew. All right. That does it for me tonight, y'all. Thank you so much for spending some time with me. I appreciate you taking time out of your night and your week. I hope you enjoyed the documentary, and I really enjoyed talking about all the snacks and cakes and stuff. You guys made me want sweets, and as I'm giving up chocolate, thanks so much for that. Special thanks to our moderators, Disco and Manny, of course, because you do a hell of a job and you deserve to be called out. Also, again, happy birthday, Manny. Belated, but hopefully you can continue the festivities throughout the week. Also, shout out to any of those that are still weathering the storm, either here or in the UK, or even in the US, because they're hit with a really bad storm as well. And of course, that's literal and metaphorical as well, because of, life. Just to let you guys know, reminder, we are live every single Tuesday night here on YouTube at 8 p.m. I was gonna say British time. UK time, I suppose it's British time. See y'all next week, where the next show will be better, but it only gets better when you guys are there. Don't forget to check out hicksondiaries.com and get your merch, or at least stop by and read all of the free guides and the free fun interactive quizzes that we put up for y'all. Stay safe, stay warm, and have a fantastic week, everybody. Love y'all.